Good morning, everyone. It's Dr. Arlene Dijamco, the multidimensional MD. Today, I wanted to give a January 2022 update on the emotional and energetic impact of the pandemic. This is not meant to be completely comprehensive. There would be way too much to cover, but there are just 10 points that I want to make. And at the end of that, I'm going to go through a brief EFT example to help you through 2022. And my mission is to help bring the intuitive spirit back to medicine in practical and tangible ways. And so that's what I'm going to do for you today as well. So just a brief disclaimer that this video is not intended to diagnose, cure, or treat medical conditions, nor is it to be used as a substitute for advice from a qualified health practitioner. The purpose of this video is informational only. If you need medical advice, please consult directly with a qualified health practitioner. So let's go ahead and get to it. Number one, what is the major message of the pandemic? So I like to back up, and I've talked about this before, but I want to see what the meaning of the pandemic is. I'm not as interested in the details of how did all of this happen, but for me, I want to see, why did the universe allow this to happen? Because there's some kind of purpose for it. And the way I see it is that the pandemic is teaching us to, one, take care of ourselves, two, take care of each other, three, take care of the earth. So if we can listen to that message and we can bring it into our thoughts, our words, and our actions every day, and be conscious of those steps that we make, then as more and more people hear this message and bring it into action, then we'll see that these variants in the pandemic will start to fade. And I'm not dismissing all the physical aspects. It's not that at all. The point of this podcast today is to really take a look at that broader perspective and that energetic perspective. So things that may not be discussed regularly elsewhere. Number two, a note on Omicron. So Omicron is more transmissible, which means it's more contagious than the other variants, but it does tend to be less severe, meaning there are fewer hospitalizations and shorter. But since so many people are getting it, then the hospitals are still filling up. So regarding this virus, be respectful. Regardless of what variant is going around, just be respectful. Again, remember that overarching message. And there's a purpose to the virus, so we don't want to completely dismiss it. And for me, I don't necessarily step into the fear of it, but I'm respectful of it. So just remember that as you go forward. Number three, the vibration of the virus. So this is just my personal take. And again, this is not going to be seen elsewhere, but I can feel the vibration of the virus and the various strains, and they are similar. There are differences and there are similarities. So there's a lot of variation also in terms of how people are affected by the pandemic and by the virus and when they contract them. Why is there variation? Well, there's so many reasons, from the physical, such as current health state and your nutritional reserves, to the mental, emotional state you're in when this all started, and how connected you feel to other people, or how connected you feel with your own spirit, your own soul. So have compassion for the various ways that people might respond to the virus, whether they contract it or whether just being in the world. I am finding that whether people are positive to the virus or they're they may not even have like symptoms of the virus. And so they might not test positive for it, but I feel the vibration in people, whether or not they're positive. So that's a really interesting thing. And it's not in everybody. It tends to be like if you start to get in this more stuck state that you it's like you're holding on to that vibration. And so how do you get out of it? Remember to back up and listen to that overarching message. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, take care of the earth, and have compassion for yourself, for the earth, for each other. So having compassion means avoiding dehumanizing comments. So I see a lot of fighting, and this is like the opposite of the message of the virus because um, there's so much hurt that's being created with words, and this is not helpful. It's waging like these mini wars on each other. And so, again, always consider how your thoughts, words, and actions are in line with the message, with the purpose of the virus. So, my plea to you is to be love for yourself, to be love for each other, and to be love for the earth. So, when at any time that we start to say dehumanizing words about each other, then it's like we feel we're creating a reason or a justification to treat each other less so, less deserving of love, not as important. So we definitely want to be aware of that. And this is in every group out there that I've seen that there's just been not every group, but a lot of the big groups that I'm in, including like physician groups, that there's, and I know that my colleagues are really worn out, that they're really overrun. And so I'm understanding of that. But if we could bring to our awareness, each of us, this is an individual responsibility as well as like a global responsibility to pay attention, to be aware of our thoughts, our words, and our actions, because they send vibrations out into the world and they affect yourself and it affects everybody around you. Number 5, listening to the messages of your body, because there can be so many there's so many common symptoms that I see right now, and there's multiple layers to that. So again, there's the physical symptoms themselves. So I'm seeing people complain of a lot of fatigue, especially as they're recovering from the virus, that they're feeling so tired. Even taking a few steps can wear them out, or having to sit down after taking a shower. They're really dragging, and they're mentally exhausted as well. So I did do a prior podcast on long COVID and how to address that in an integrative and multidimensional way. I've also seen people continue to complain of on and off palpitations or heart symptoms or just pressure in the chest and pressure on the neck and the shoulders, tension in the head. So many various symptoms that I see with people. And so you want to consider like this ongoing fatigue, because that is something that I've hearing over and over again. And one of the things that you want to consider with that is that it's giving you an opportunity to be with yourself, which can be difficult because when you are sometimes alone, having symptoms and prolonged symptoms, or even if it doesn't seem that long, it seems like within the range of normal. I mean, if you're sick for even a few days, you can feel really lonely in your illness, and it can really make you feel down because you're not sure if you're, it's like you start to forget what it feels like to feel well. And it can feel unfair too. But there's no greater way to heal than to go inward. So if you can go inward, 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 past all the surface feelings, surface emotions, even through to the core wounds, and then even into the center of that, is this light of your soul, and it is always there. It never goes out because that light of your soul cannot go out. So this is why going inward when you're not feeling well is so important. And this virus can also reactivate old problems, old griefs, or it can also intensify current ones. And this is really common that I'm seeing. So, say if you have any ongoing chronic illness, maybe it was okay, and then you're seeing a flare. And I'm seeing this with all kinds of things. Sometimes when people are stressed about the pandemic, sometimes when they're recovering or after, like post-viral kind of symptoms, or I mean, I've even seen it like after people have had vaccines. So it's really that whole vibration of like what's going on right now. So that reactivation of old problems, disease flares, like I've seen people have flares of inflammatory bowel disease, have flares of migraines, have flares of resentments that you thought were over, and then they starting to resurface, and you're cognitively you're thinking, I was over this, but then your body will remind you with these symptoms, and so you could feel achy and tired, and this is a normal response. And so I want you to, again, to keep diving into the purpose of it, which can be really difficult when you're feeling bad and you're feeling all these physical symptoms. But the pandemic is like lifting the rug, so to speak. So underneath, you're getting to see all the dirt and dust that's there. And so it may feel shocking at first when you see it. And that's a lot of like where people are getting into that stuck state because they're stuck in the shock of seeing it. And so they're feeling worse and they're thinking that they're worse. But the thing is, a lot of the times it's not any different. So the things that are surfacing were already there, but now it's more transparent and you're getting to see it. And that is a good thing because there's this amazing opportunity for healing. And if you can see an issue, then you can better address it really by being with yourself, embracing yourself, loving yourself anyway, regardless of what is happening to you or regardless of what you've been through. So, regardless of the past, of the present, of the future. And so, this really requires some courage and strength in a different way. And so, again, this is what the pandemic is asking us to go into, is to dive more into spirit, because that is where we are going to find this strength that otherwise we wouldn't have access to. So in order to do that, you do need to be gentle with yourself. And you can't really demand yourself to get better or to get over things or demand yourself to get over a shock, but really to take time and rest and spend time with yourself, to get help if you need to. And it's practicing being okay with yourself no matter what. Because if you're not afraid of whatever you're feeling, then in a way that makes you untouchable. So you see how much courage that can take, because these feelings make us feel so vulnerable, and it can be difficult to dive into that. So bit by bit, just step by step, just remember, you don't have to do it all at once. It's a moment to moment thing. So take one step at a time. This is being gentle with yourself. Take one step at a time. If you forget and not sure what to do, then just remember that overarching message. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Take care of the earth. So choose one step that you could do moment to moment, day by day. It can just be a small little thing. It can just be allowing yourself to get extra rest, because the vibrations are really intense right now. And so I'm finding that I'm needing a lot more sleep than usual. So even like 12 hours, sometimes like 14 hours of sleep And that's okay. It's not something to do long term, but to recognize these periods of times, these rhythms of life, these rhythms of the pandemic, when you might need more rest and might need more time for yourself. And anytime you have soul growth, spirit growth, then it will require that you do spend some time with yourself. And when you're with yourself, you're always still with spirit. So you're never really alone, but it takes that alone time so that you can just be acquainted and feel and be more in touch with spirit. So have courage to do that. So the last thing I want to do is to go through this brief EFT tapping. And if you aren't familiar with tapping, then it uses these acupressure points to help smooth out short circuits that you might be having in your thoughts and emotions. And if you wanted to do a quick webinar, it's about an hour. I do have that on my academy site, which is allworldshealthacademy.com. But otherwise, you can just follow along with me right now. So you're going to start by tapping on this, what they call the karate chop point right here. And just repeat after me as you tap. Even though I have so many worries, I totally love and accept myself. Even though I'm worried about my health, my family, my finances, everything, and you can feel free to add to that, I totally love and accept myself. Even though I'm so worried and I don't know what to expect this year, I totally love and accept myself. And then you'll tap right at the beginning of the eyebrows here. I'm so worried about everything. My health, my job, my family, my friends. And you can say anything else that you're worried about. Outside the eyes. I don't know what to do sometimes. What's right? What's helpful? It's all so confusing. So you're tapping outside the eyes here. And then tap under the eyes. Sometimes I feel panic. My digestion might be off. My heart feels fluttery. And I have this weight on me. Under the nose. Everything is so much and has been for the last couple of years. Under the mouth, right at that crevice there. I feel so tired and achy at times. I feel like I can't get a break. The collarbone, right at the beginning of the collarbone there. You can tap with your whole hand or just the fingertips. And I feel bad for feeling bad. I feel guilty sometimes because I still have so much more than others. Under the arm, right there at the line of the chest. I just wish I could get it together and feel like myself again. Top of the head. There's so much going on. It's so intense. And everything feels like it's driving me crazy. Inside the eyebrows. When things are up and down, please help me see the wiggle room. Outside the eyes. Please help me see the hope in the world. under the eyes. I am so open to seeing things from a new perspective. Under the nose. Help me in these difficult times to see that I am not alone. Under the mouth. All I have to do is take one step at a time. Collarbones. Maybe I can have the strength and courage to do that. Under the arms. To take things moment by moment. And to take a moment to breathe. Top of the head. And breathe it all in. Inside the eyebrows, because these challenging times are also exciting times. Outside the eyes, we are living history, and we have the opportunity to steer the world in a new direction. Under the eyes, towards a world with more love and kindness. Under the nose, and that can start with me. I can be kind to myself. Under the mouth, I can be kind to others. Collarbone, I can be kind to the earth. Under the arm, and I choose to take steps to do so. Top of the head, to share my light and love, and to see the light and love around me. Take a nice big breath and sigh it out. Great. So I hope that was helpful for you in some way. If you get a chance, please like and subscribe. If you need more resources for COVID, for the pandemic, you can check some resources out on my Academy website, which is allworldshealthacademy.com. You can also find it on the main website. And I wish you lots and love and light today and through the week. And I will see you next time on Wednesday, 11 a.m. EST. Thank you for joining me today. It's Dr. Arlene Dijamco, the Multidimensional MD.